usually to start out. Like, I just like let you introduce yourself and like your music, and then go from there.
Okay. I'm Mary Catherine Burns, and I'm a student at Savannah College of Art and Design. And I'm majoring in sound design and minoring in film composition. And my focus is composing music for film.
That's honestly really cool. I always think that, like, when I see you, like your work and stuff, I'm like, wow,
Thank you. I enjoy it a lot.
that's the best part.
Mm-hmm.
So, my first question is just like, who are your biggest influences?
Well, there are a number that I have, but they're all very different too, because I want to write in different styles. For like major motion pictures and not animation, I really like James Horner's stuff, because he did like Avatar and Titanic um and Hans Zimmer, because the Inception soundtrack and the Interstellar soundtrack are those are two of my most favorite soundtracks of all time. And also obviously John Williams. I feel like every composer looks up to him because it's obviously like everyone knows the classics, the Jaws theme and Harry Potter, Jurassic Park, all of that, Star Wars.
Yeah.
Definitely him. For animation, there's a composer who does a lot for Pixar, Michael Giacchino. He did the Up score, which everyone fell in love with. I'm pretty sure the da 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 da. And he also did Ratatouille and The Incredibles. And Ratatouille is one of my most favorite soundtracks too for Pixar. So definitely him. And I also like Danny Elfman, who did like the Nightmare Before Christmas score and stuff like that. So I've used those guys for inspiration for a lot of them. Again, like I said, there are a lot of different inspirations I have, and they're all, it's a wide range of styles.
Yeah. That's great, because honestly, like, I didn't know any of the names, but like when you said like their work, I was like, oh wow.
Yeah, it's even if you don't know them, it's like their stuff is so good and so memorable that people will be like, oh yeah, I recognize that. Like anytime you think of Jaws, you think of the dun dun,
Yeah.
and that's how you know it's good. Like it leaves that with someone, like when you're leaving the theater and you can't get the song out of your head.
Yeah. So to kind of like go off of that, like who or what inspires you? Whether it's like friends or family, artists, it could be a TV show, literally anything.
Well, when I was really little, I think the first thing that really made me feel the way I feel about film music now is the Finding Nemo soundtrack. Because I remember watching it on my grandma's big TV, and like the opening with the Nemo egg. Do you remember the opening with the titles and all that?
A little. It's been a long time since I've seen it.
Yeah, I understand that. But that's my favorite Pixar movie. But yeah, that resonated with me. But I went through other phases of like jobs, like, oh, I want to be a tap dance teacher or an astronaut, just really random stuff like that. But it wasn't until like sophomore year of high school where I was watching Inception, and the track Time that plays at the end of the film, it's like that same feeling I had from whenever I was watching the Finding Nemo when I was like 4, like it revisited, and yeah, it just came back and I was like, whoa, that is what I want to do. And it was like a subconscious thing. Like even when I was little, like I didn't even know like the process of film scoring. But I still like I felt that. And so that's what made me want to actually pursue it. But the support from my family and my friends, that also motivates me a lot, because even when, and I hold myself accountable for if I'm supposed to be working on something, but I'm busy with something else, or I want to, I don't know, I really want to show my friends and my family like updates I have, because they're always, like giving me feedback or just support and encouragement. So that motivates me to keep working if I'm in a slump or something like that.
I totally get that. Like I always say, like I'm so lucky to have the team that I have.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry if you hear like some car like driving by. It's
That's
only
okay.
15-20 degrees outside, but like my room is boiling. So
My room does that.
yeah, I hate it.
But yeah, it's really nice to have support, especially from family, because a lot of like young artists who want to pursue something in the arts, like the entertainment industry or music industry, a lot of parents sometimes they'll say, that's not a real job and you're never gonna make it that way. You need to become something more practical, like a lawyer or an accountant or just stuff like that, for example, because it's a really competitive field and not everybody has the chance to put all their stuff out there. But yeah, my family's been pretty supportive, so
Yeah,
that's nice.
I always think like I'm so lucky that my mom was never like, no, you shouldn't do that. Like that was never like,
Mm-hmm.
so I was like, okay.
Yeah.
So I want to ask, what is like one goal you have for like your music this year in 2021?
This year. Um, well, I'm working on 7 scores right now. Some of them are for film and other ones are for animation. And this is actually the first time I get to score something to actual film and not just an animated or visual effects short, which is a big deal for me because that's mainly what I want to do. So my main goal is to make that like as perfect as I can because it's a big deal, like I said. And so I'm just gonna spend this next year working on that and like putting my all into those projects. And obviously the animation ones too. Um, but those will be done by the end of this school year. So the next part of 2021, like next fall, I'll have a lot more options on what to do, hopefully. I didn't expect to be able to do this many projects this school year because I had only done 5 my freshman year, and I was like, I don't know where I'm going to find any other opportunities or people who want to, use me as their composer, because a lot of the people that I worked with last year, I was a freshman and I didn't really tell them I was a freshman. They thought I was a senior. And so they were like, you're graduating this year, right? I was like, actually, no. And they're like, what? Because I feel like they wouldn't have, wanted me to, they wouldn't have wanted to take that chance if I was just a freshman. But luckily they did. And I really enjoyed that. So yeah, for my goal this year is just to keep going, and I want my music to sound like even better like each year that passes. I just want it to exponentially get, I don't know, I'm really excited for it.
Yeah, no, like I get that. I'm always thinking about like growth and how
Mm-hmm.
you can see it, and I don't know, I love that.
Mm-hmm.
So this next question is honestly like my favorite to ask people, and it's just like, how does like your life influence your art, and how does your art influence your life?
That is a good question. Um, let me think. A lot of, well, when I'm thinking about my life, like outside of scoring something to picture, because it's not always something focused with, because I have individual compositions and stuff that I create that come from like my feelings and my life specifically. But when you're writing for film, you're in the character's life, or you're in that story. So I can't always tie it back to mine because a lot of the stuff I score is pretty out there and not always relatable to me. But there are a few stories that when I compose for them, I do feel a relationship with the main character. Like, I don't know, a lot of them have been, you know, heartwarming relationships with their loved ones, like their family. Or and I like that one because, like, whenever I feel that way, then I can bring that out in the music and be like, okay, I want people to understand what this feeling sounds like to me. And I think it usually ends up going pretty well because I think I have a good way of tying that stuff into it. Another a way that it influences my life, like not just my life influencing that, is, I don't know, it's hard to put it into words, like, because you and I were both talking about growth, and it's like, you know how actors, one of the main reasons they love acting is because they learn a lot from the characters they play, and that helps them, like, I don't know, just understand other people really well, even if it's just fictional characters. I feel like that too with a lot of the films that I work for, because I mean, I obviously, like I said, I don't relate to all of the characters, but it does give me insight into like what the directors go through. And especially like I developed this great appreciation for the animators, because before I worked with animation, I was like, yeah, it's, I don't know what happens. Like, I guess it's like not that bad, but they go through so much. Like when I see them working, I just think like I could never do that. I do not have the patience for that. And then they say the same thing about what I do. So it's just interesting. Because whenever you work with people like that in a collaborative space, you're able to appreciate everyone else's interests. And so that's made me more appreciative of other people's stories and other people's passions, because I didn't always understand all of that. And that's why, like, the school I go to, SCAD, because it's not just one competitive like music school. It's people from so many different areas of the entertainment industry. And so we all get to collaborate and work together, like production design people, or like, you know, directors, animators, composers, just a lot of different people like that. So yeah, that's affected me a lot.
Yeah. So, okay, so the way this is like set up, I have like one more official like question, and then I kind of like to just open it up and have like a conversation and a dialogue, that kind of thing. But the last question is just kind of like, what do you have in the works? Like anything you'd want to plug? And yeah.
Okay, so like I said, I'm working on a fair amount of projects right now, and none of them are actually finished yet because they're mainly like senior capstones and stuff. So I don't have anything to plug right now since they're not done. Well, I mean, I do have my stuff from last year. You can look up Mary Catherine Burns on Spotify or Apple Music or YouTube, and you can see my stuff there if you wanna support. But right now there are just like five animated soundtracks on those platforms, because that's all I did. Did I say 5? I meant 4. I did 5, but one of them didn't finish. Well, okay, yeah, there are 4 on there. And so what I'm working on now, I'm done for the most part on this one called Flicker. And it's one of my like favorite ones I've ever done. It's about this boy. His name is Oliver, which I already love that because if I ever had a son, I've always wanted to name him Oliver. So when she first told me that, I was like, yes, I'm gonna like this so much. And it's also music. Like, it's really reliant on the soundtrack because the whole theme of it is music, and togetherness like in the family, because okay, so Oliver's a little boy and he lives with his mom, but only his mom because his dad died a while back. And his dad played the mandolin and his mom plays the violin. And so the boy goes into this, I don't know, he hears some noise and sees some colors come out of like this big chest, and he looks in it and then he falls in, and then he's transported into this like little universe where it's just springing with color and music of like and shapes and patterns and just beautiful stuff. And they're really good animators, so it's gonna look so great. So I'm really excited for that. That'll most likely be the first one I'll plug and put out there. Also because I'm mainly done with it. But so he meets up with his dad, like his dad's spirit there, and they get to like make music together. And yeah, it's so sweet. And it's just like the soundtrack then is so like upbeat and happy because it's a little, dismal to begin with because it just hadn't gotten to the exciting part yet. But after that, like whenever towards the end of that little montage, he falls back into the memory of his dad's funeral. And that's when, like, because I have a sad piano composition for that part, which I really enjoyed because I hadn't written something like just specifically for piano for one of my soundtracks yet, which is weird because that's my main instrument. But yeah, so I got to do that. And then in the end, like he goes back and he hugs his mom and the whole thing is really heartwarming. So that's the one I'm most excited about at the moment. So yeah, I'll probably plug that one first.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds so cute. I'm excited now.
Okay, good. I'll definitely let you know when it's done.
So, like I said, like this is kind of where I like to just open it up and like whatever you'd like want to talk about or have an audience know, like those kinds of things. And
what was the last thing you said?
basically just like whatever you'd like want to talk about or have like an audience know, like that kind of thing is kind of where I like to open it up and do that.
Okay. Let me think. I think one of the things that, because I went on a podcast like a couple months ago and they're not done editing it yet, but it was a women in film podcast or women in audio. And we kind of talked about like the glass ceiling in that industry and about how it's like, especially the film music industry, it's a very male dominated place. And I don't know, I think that it's just great that we're making so many breakthroughs, like with the score for the Joker, the Composer Guild, she won so many awards for that. And that was just so inspiring, not to just like other female composers, but like younger females who are also interested in that kind of thing, because there weren't that many, like, a while back when I, was a little interested in it. I mean, there were some, but like I said, like all of the inspirations that I listed earlier, those are all guys. And I do love some other, a lot of women composers. Like I love their work, but just my top favorites, they come from those people specifically. Not to say that men are more talented in that industry, but it's just those, I was focusing on the work they do. But anyway, yeah, I think that it's a really nice thing to appreciate and just notice how much like the industry has grown in the amount of women that work in it, and they're becoming more, because women have always been, underestimated, and you get that you're a female artist. And I don't know, I just think it's really nice that we're making that breakthrough. And we're getting further in our work and people are recognizing it. And yeah, most of the composers at my school, they're guys, but there are a few girls. And all of the guys in the, it's nothing competitive or anything, like especially the professor, like all of my professors, except for my music theory and music composition professor, are guys, and they're not, you know, dominant over the whole, you know, all of the work at all. They're very supportive of, you know, they're always impressed, like, oh, we have a lot of girls in that class. This is good. This is exciting that you guys are, you know, putting your stuff out there and you're getting passionate about sound design and film scoring and stuff that women aren't often, because a lot of times, because I go to an art school, and a lot of times people, when they see female students, like I've been, they've assumed that I'm either a painter, and there are so many male painters, I'm not saying that, but a painter and an interior design student or interior decorating. And like the majority of interior design students are females. And I was like, actually, I'm a film composer. And they're like, oh, I don't know a lot of girls in that. I'm like, actually, no, there's a good amount of girls at the school, just not most of them are guys. But yeah, I'm sure you understand with the whole, because you're a girl. you got it.
And it's crazy. We actually had this conversation in one of my classes Wednesday. Yeah, I have that about how like, and up until like the very end of like the romantic period, like women were not encouraged to compose at all. They were only encouraged to learn like music to play in the home, or just like very like, they didn't have as many opportunities, and it was just like, wow, that's okay, but okay.
I know, and so many of the composers from the common practice period, like Clara Schumann, she lives in her husband's shadow, Robert Schumann, and it's just if you listen to some of her work, I strongly suggest you go and listen to her. Have you?
A little bit here and there. I've been learning about her because I took like piano literature last year and like certain music, so this year, so
yeah. Just her stuff is amazing, but people, and so many people like, you know, recognize and appreciate her, but still the focus is mainly on her husband, and he has amazing stuff too. Like I love him, but I don't know, it's just, you know, it's always been that way with, I don't know, it just made sense back then that, oh, he deserves all the credit. And even if his work was like, the chance that his work was better than hers, you know, obviously better work is most of the time gonna get more attention, but it's still like, back then it was barely recognized that she was talented. So it was like, well, that's not their main purpose, you know. So
about like when he broke like his hands, and like she was the one helping him compose his work.
Yeah, and people don't talk about that.
Yeah.
I'm really glad that they talk about that in your classes, though. That's cool that it got brought up again, and I didn't even know that had happened.
Yeah, and I feel bad because I always get like Schumann and Schubert mixed up just because of the last name.
That's okay. I used to do that too. I actually had to think for a second. I was like, Schumann, Schubert. I was like, because I know, yeah, I know it's Clara Schumann and
Robert.
Wait a second. Yeah, okay, I was right. It is Robert Schumann.
Yeah, and then Franz Schubert,
yeah, and Clara Schumann. Okay, I was just making sure, so I didn't want to sound like an idiot on the video. I was like almost sure that I had it.
I always get them mixed up, and I don't know if it's because like in like one class we were talking about all piano composers, and then in my theory class we were focused on Schubert. Schubert. And it was like, I remember because I hated writing an essay explaining the green ribbon.
Yeah. Well, hold on. There's one fact about them. I'm trying to remember which one it was. Yeah. Yeah, Schumann died of syphilis. I was trying to remember which one it was. Again, you don't have to include that. It was a little fun fact. Well, not really fun, but it was a fact that I was trying to remember if it was Schubert or Schumann.
Yeah. So this is kind of random, but I thought of this like hearing you like talk about, composing and everything. And my same friend who's editing these, she's actually going into like filmmaking and stuff. So like if you guys would ever want to like work together, I would definitely be down to set that up.
Yeah, definitely. If you want to. Okay, sorry, the lighting's getting bad in here. So clouds covering the sun. Yeah, definitely. If you want to recommend me to her or something, or I could give you my website and maybe send that to her so she's not just going into contacting me blindly, because you want to make sure if you like the person's stuff before you reach out to them. Then that would be cool. So yeah, just let me know if she needs anyone.
Yeah, like I know right now she's kind of more focused on like saving up to get like a better camera and like just the little things, and like she has all these ideas, and they're really good ideas. And so it's just like, I mean, hey, like the connection. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'd love to work with her. She sounds great.
She's the best. Sorry, I really love my coffee every day.
You don't need to apologize.
It's crazy because like our campus Starbucks used to not be open on weekends. So when it was open today, I was just like, this is amazing. Let's keep
Why
this.
aren't they open on weekends?
I don't know. They were just never like, it was like a thing. They'd only open Monday through Friday and just not on weekends.
Yeah, I went and got this one this morning because I have this and I have a music editing for film workshop today. And I just needed to make sure I stayed awake for, most of the important stuff I have to do today, because I feel like a lot of artists are like night owls. I don't know if you are, but it just sucks that the most creative and the most brilliant thoughts and ideas you have, they come at like 2 a.m. when you're trying to go to sleep.
Yeah,
And it's like, I have to go write this down just for a minute. And then once you write it down, you just want to keep working on it. And I hate it because then it makes me seem lazy during the day when I get so tired. But it's like, no, I swear I'm such a hard worker. It's just at the opposite hours that it should be.
yeah.
I don't know why it's like that.
I'm literally the same way. Like there'll be nights where like I'm about to go to sleep and suddenly there's like a melody or a lyric idea in my head and I'm like, oh, do I have to write that before I forget it? Because if I go to sleep, I'm not going to remember it.
I'm in a music production class this quarter, and a lot of the students in the class are singer-songwriters. And obviously, like, I'm not a singer or songwriter, I told you my main focus. But my professor met with me and he was like, okay, so are you a singer-songwriter? I said, no. He was like, you've never written anything? But I told him, my friend and I, we write really stupid songs for fun. And so he was telling me to sing it for him. And I was like, you don't understand. And it was like 10 in the morning and I had just woken up and I was still in my pajamas when I was on the Zoom call with him. He was like, it's just the two of us. I was like, okay. And I sang it to him. He was like, that's a hit. The song is about Smoothie King. I'm like, that's a hit? And he was being serious. And the song is a whole joke because it starts out as like a love song. And then like the chorus, when the chorus hits, I say like Smoothie King got me feeling something. And then you're like, oh. it's not a legit love song. It's about a smoothie, but I don't want to brag, but it is really good. If I do produce it for the class, I will definitely send it to you. But
Yeah.
he's like, okay, you need to write more. And so I'm like, I have no idea how to do like serious songwriting. Obviously, since that was about a smoothie. But I'll start to go to sleep, and then at like, again, like at 2 a.m., I'll actually think of lyrics for something that's kind of serious. I'm like, whoa, that didn't suck. Maybe I should go write it down. And so I'll do that, or it'll come at like inconvenient parts of my day, like in communications class. Like I'll have to get my ukulele to figure out chords for one of the verses, and I'm like trying to hide it from the camera because we have to keep our cameras on. I'm like, I really don't want to get caught because that's such a dumb thing, you know, for you to get caught playing ukulele when you're supposed to be learning about, you know, the just different speech techniques and everything.
Yeah.
Which I have one due this weekend.
It's crazy. Like I'm not a music major, and that always surprises people.
Oh, you're not? What's your major?
I'm a communications major with a music minor and a concentration in film and new media.
So what, and I've heard your stuff before because obviously, you know, we were in the summer songwriting camp together, which I loved. Like, I don't know, that was so much fun. And I was gonna do fall, but I got way too busy with schoolwork, so I thought it was best to just, I don't know, wait till this coming summer. I don't know if you're gonna do it again, but
For
I
sure.
think I'm going to if I'm not super busy. But yeah, so I've heard your stuff, and like whenever you put something out there, like on your Instagram, I'll go check it out. And I don't know, it's so unique. And I don't know, I love the sound so much. It's very different from something that I'm used to listening to, which is strange because I have a very wide range of music that I listen to.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I started listening to yours, I was like, I like this because this sounds new and different and like intimate because you're close to the mic and you have all this, you know, and you can hear, it's almost like ASMR, like you can hear the articulation in your voice. And I wonder if that comes from being a communications major, you're just good at speaking that way, or if that's just your natural voice. But yeah, I really like it. So that's odd that you're not a music major because it sounds
Yeah.
really good.
Thank you. That means like the world to me, honestly. I mean, to be fair, I've only been a communications major since last semester. So
Wait, what grade are you in?
I'm a junior.
Okay.
So I've only been a communications major for like 2 semesters.
What major were you to begin with?
I actually just like didn't have a major because I like the music program here is good, but I wasn't sure if I wanted to like fully commit to it, if that makes sense. Just because I felt like it wasn't, some of the focuses weren't what I was focused on. But like I wasn't gonna like give up music. That was never an option. But
Mm-hmm.
just kind of figuring out the best way to go about it. And also I feel like it'll be cool to get the new skills that I'll get from these communications classes. Like maybe from like right now I'm taking multimedia production. And it's like maybe I can use that to help a friend that needs like a music video or something like that. And just
Yeah,
finding ways to
that's
like
definitely a good thing to invest in, that kind of production, that kind of, you know, artistic vision, not just, you know, through the ear, but also like putting your ideas into actual, you know, picture and creating something visually and not just through song. Like that's also a really good focus to have. I don't have that. I used to think being a director would be really cool because I've always been interested in film stuff too. Um, besides, you know, my brief astronaut and tap teacher phase, but yeah, I like, because I like, you know, enhancing the story and getting to create, you know, do some form of storytelling in film. and I also love music. So I was like, okay, these go hand in hand. This is perfect for me. So, but that's interesting. What school do you go to again?
St. Rose in Albany, New York.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
Very far from home.
Hmm?
It's very far from home, but I'm okay with that.
What,
Yeah. I'm from like West Virginia, so
hmm.
it's it's a
That is far.
yeah, it's a stretch.
I'm from a town in South Georgia, so Savannah is only like 3.5 hours away. Um, I eventually definitely want to go to New York. I've always wanted to live in New York. So, like, my plan for after I finish school in Savannah is move to Atlanta, because at first I will not be able to live in New York without having like 20 roommates, which is something I don't really want that. So I'm gonna see how well I can do in Atlanta, because the film industry there is, it's huge. And so I was like, okay, I feel like I can work really well there before I go to New York. And there is a SCAD campus in Atlanta, but they don't offer my department there, but they do at the Savannah campus. And I was gonna go to the Atlanta one, but then I found out they don't have it there. And I was like, that makes absolutely no sense. Like, I don't know, because that's where the film industry is. Like, some films are done in Savannah, but like Atlanta, that's the place. And I'm like, I don't know why they wouldn't just put it in. I don't know. I don't know. I like Savannah though, just because of some of the people I've met there. And I'm thinking, well, if I was in Atlanta, I wouldn't have met them. And I really like the professors I have. So, and they have a lot more restaurants that are really good there instead of here. Because I'm in my hometown right now, because of some virus that's been going around for like the past year. I'm having to stay. Don't know if you've heard of it. So I'm having to stay here and take online classes, which is so, I hate it so much, but I finished my setup. This is like really recent, but I just like, I don't know, it's my studio in my room, and like I got this, and I have my second monitor I figured out how to set up, and like my instruments right here, and I got an actual swivel chair, which I was really excited about, put it together all by myself. And so I'm like, well, if I was still on campus working, then I wouldn't have had the time and like motivation to actually, turn my room into part studio. Also because there's like no room in the dorms for that kind of thing. So I'm glad that I can work more efficiently from home with all of this, but I still miss actually going to classes in person so much and using like the real studios there. So I'll be going back next fall, but it still feels really far away. So
Yeah.
are you doing online or are you doing in-person classes?
So the way they've had it set up is the first 2 weeks we've been online. So that ends this week. And then starting next week, it switches to like a hybrid of like online and in person. So yeah. And I just moved back into like my dorm room the other day because since I was out of state, I had to quarantine in like this random apartment on campus for like 4 days. And yeah, we start in person on Monday.
Are you excited?
Kind of. So my first like 9 a.m. class is with one of my best friends, and we've never had a class together. So we're just kind of like, that might be interesting.
That's going to be fun. It's always good to have one of your best friends in class with you, because college is it's obviously so much different from high school in so many ways. But at my high school, the majority, like all of my classes, I would have the same group of people in them. because my high school wasn't that huge, but also I was in IB, so it was a really small community of students in that program. But then in college, it's like I have a whole different group of people in every class, and obviously you do too, most college students do. But I did have design class with my, because even if you're, in music, you still have to take visual arts courses because it's an arts school, which isn't always the best because I'm not as good with that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I like painting every now and then, but I am not made for, I don't know, it just goes into so much detail on like, I don't know, you think drawing or painting would just be easy to major in at first. But there's so much theory that goes into that, just how there is that goes into music. And it's another thing that like, it's so hard to understand, and music is hard for other people to understand. But there are a lot of people at the school who do, a lot of different stuff. Like they're into music and they're also into painting or fashion or stuff like that. But I forgot what I was talking about. Sorry, I keep getting off track. What was I talking about?
This is not good. I don't have the best memory either. I get really off track. Let's see.
That's the only thing I was worried about for the interview is I talk a lot, and I don't know. I was like, I can't rehearse. I like being prepared for stuff. So I'm a more organized person when it comes to, I don't always like winging it. So I'm like, okay, I can't have something memorized because it's an interview. I just need to be able to speak, freely. But sometimes I speak too freely and go off on rabbit trails, and then I end up forgetting what I was talking about, like right now.
No, like you're totally fine because honestly, like the whole point of this is for it to just be like this very genuine thing. Like it's not.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's really intimate and casual. And that was another reason I was excited about doing it, is because like I wasn't super nervous because it's a casual thing. But I haven't done like any interviews like this before about my music, because also this is just my second year doing this professionally, or just as professional as it can be. I used to never have the opportunity to score a picture. Like when I was in high school, like college was my first time doing it. Oh, I remember what I was talking about. Okay, we were talking about having friends in class. Yeah, so my roommate and I had designed together, and we were like the class clowns, but not in a slacker kind of way. Like we still always had A's, but I don't know, we also had like a really relaxed teacher. It was also really weird, but again, it's an art school, so he had a mohawk and a lot of tattoos, and he tap danced. He was talking about like all this weird stuff he'd done. He's gone through so many weird jobs, and he was like tap dancing, and we looked at him and he has a mohawk and tattoos, and you look at him, you think that man has not tap danced before. Like, can you imagine that? But so yeah, he's a pretty eccentric guy, and so he was okay with whenever my roommate and I would like tease him or make fun, or just not make fun of him because that's disrespectful, but just joke around in class, like as long as we were studious, which I think you're allowed to get a little crazy in class if as long as you do your work and you're not slacking off or anything. But yeah, that's one of the things I like about college, is even if you don't have that group of friends, like you have just that one friend, and then it's also like you kind of have an audience in the class, so it makes it even more fun, especially when you don't know them, because I don't know, and through that you get to create like more bonds with other students. And that's another thing I'm looking forward to next year, because obviously I don't have as many friends at college, because it's like sophomore year didn't even happen, or isn't even happening because I'm not there. But next year when I go back, I'm going to be able to make a lot more connections and stuff. So it won't be, I don't know, like freshman year everything was so new and different to me. So I'll know my way around more whenever I go back, and I feel like I'll be more confident in socializing with people because, and I don't know if you were like this your freshman year, and it's not like I'm shy or anything, but I did not know how I was going to communicate with all these crazy art students with different colored hair and walking around in fashion statement things, like just crazy baggy neon stuff. And like I went to a private Catholic school up until 8th grade, like my whole life up until 8th grade. So uniforms, very, strict teachers, and just a very, exclusive environment. And then I got to public school and I was like, oh my God, like this is so different. I wasn't prepared. And then I got to college and I was like, this is even more like, I don't know. I think also like art schools, it's just, or any school, but with that department of people, like, artists and creators, it's just a whole different breed. And I wasn't prepared for it. Like everyone is so weird, but in the best way. And so, yeah, that's one of the reasons I love about it. Because not everybody in my high school was like that. Because my high school was like football oriented. That's one of the, South Georgia, that's a big thing. So our team was really good and all the money was like put into that. And we had drama and we had jazz band, but it just wasn't, a really like focused on arts kind of school. Like I know a lot of schools are, but the ones in my hometown were not. So that's another reason why art school, like college, was so different.
Honestly, that's exactly how my high school was. So yeah, and I even did like musical theater and choir. And it was just like, and the thing is like people loved coming to like our shows, like it was a legacy at the school almost, but like we never got like that much funding. Like we always had to like fundraise for it because the
It
sports.
was just like a booster seat club, like the parents of the stars of the drama club who were always donating money, but like not a lot of other people.
And it was crazy to me because like the football team would get all of this money, but I only remember them winning like 2 games my whole high school career. Like they weren't good.
Yeah, I attended football games my freshman year for the high school experience because St. John, we did not have a football team. We weren't even allowed to have a cheerleading team for our sports because our principal thought it would be too inappropriate to wear skirts that short. So we weren't even allowed to have a cheerleading team, which I don't think I would have been in anyway, but it's still kind of outrageous that but it wasn't atypical for St. John. But anyway, yeah, so I went to a few my freshman year, and then sophomore year I did 2, but then my friends and I, we went through this phase where it's like we're wallflowers. High school or football games aren't for us. We would go and do like, I don't know, other high school stuff, or like I said, like drama and just other stuff. We were like, we're too cool for the popular kids. Like I hate that I was that kid in high school, but I don't know. And I grew out of that. Like I became like friends with a lot of the other kids that we used to not associate with. But yeah, because I feel like you do that in high school unless you remain like that throughout their like the rest of your high school. And so whenever you get to college, it's completely different because it's like the outcasts aren't even outcasts in college. It's just a whole other clique, like there's no such thing as being like, I mean, obviously originality is a thing, in art school, but it's like everyone is so original and true to themselves that they're also like people who are just like them and just as unique as them, which is kind of a contradiction, but I don't know how to explain it, but you know what I mean at schools like that, like in that area, it's like the goth kids think they're different, and I have nothing against that. You know, people can express themselves however you want, but you know, people who think they're different, they have their own group of people that, so they're not really different or anything like that. And that goes for so many different types of teenagers, and well, not teenagers. I'm 19. It's so weird to think that I'm not a teenager anymore. But yeah, just any age in college. It's just, I don't know, it's such a weird transition. Like I thought my transition days were over when I went from 8th grade to public school. But I'm like, no, like I'm still growing. I'm not even mature yet. Like, I don't know. I don't know. It's really weird. And my friend yesterday was talking about how you get kicked off your parents' insurance when you turn 24, and I had completely forgotten about that. And I was like, oh no, I feel like a 6-year-old. Like, I don't know how I'm gonna, I don't know. It's just scary to think about building your own life after just in like 2 years, 1 year for you. If you're, I don't know if you're gonna do grad school or what.
Well, I'm not sure. The plan is like if I do grad school, it'll be in New York City because the plan is me and maybe 2 of my other friends. We're gonna like start saving up and get an apartment together after we graduate, which will be fun.
Mm-hmm. I'm excited for that part of my life. Like the part before you settle down and like marriage and kids and stuff, if you're planning on getting married and having kids or anything, but just like in high school, I remember whenever they were like introducing the freshmen, especially the St. John kids who were they were they were also kind of outcast because everyone who went to the middle school that's the same kind of school, like there's Valdosta High School and then Valdosta Middle School. A lot of my friends had they were ones who had gone to the middle school, and the stories they tell from that, it's just a public middle school, it was like we were in shock as, you know, coddled St. John students. Like they're talking about drugs and I don't know, relationships between students. We're like, this is so weird because we had a very small class that they stayed together for every single class. Like as you go into 8th grade, like it wasn't just, okay, there are 2 English classes or 3 science classes separate. It's like, no, we were in each class. That's how small our school was. And so we were like, oh my gosh, we've always been like family. So the idea of students our age being romantically involved, we're like, you guys are so crazy for that. Like you held hands? What? It's like that stuff was so weird to us. And then, I don't know, it's so weird being exposed to something so different. And like I said earlier, you think it's already weird enough, and then you get to college and it's even more diverse. And especially in a bigger city. And Savannah, it's not a big city, but compared to Valdosta, it's very different. So again, I forgot what I was talking about. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
Oh yeah, that part of, oh yeah, okay. They were telling the freshmen at our school, they're like, high school will be the best years of your life. And we were like, and they weren't. And they're like, college will be the best years of your life. And I was like, okay, that's more believable. And I feel like my college years are gonna be, you know, the best so far, pretty sure. I don't want to jinx it because I'm only a sophomore, but I'm just really excited for my 20s. And yeah, that brief period of before settling down, you're actually independent. You can have your own apartment and move to whatever city you want, have the whole financial struggle experience, and just be prepared for the real world, and you're actually in the real world, because everything up until this or up until that, it's like, in the real world you're gonna, because we keep talking about that, but to actually think, okay, when I get out of here, I'm gonna be in the real world, and it's scary sometimes to think about that. So a lot of my, I know people my age who are so, they've already done so much in, and I consider myself pretty mature, not in, age wise, but I'm not crazy, and I have a good understanding of a lot of stuff, and I approach things in a more adult way than I obviously did in freshman year, but of high school. But yeah, a friend of a friend who is a year younger than me has made over $20,000 in stocks. And I'm like, they're a year younger than me. And I don't even know where to begin with that kind of stuff. And he must be like a finances student or business major, I don't know. But I'm like, he needs to teach me how to do that, and it's just overwhelming. Because people like that, they're going to be, or you think they're going to be really ahead of you. But again, I guess it doesn't matter, just because you need to focus on you and where you're going. So another thing we do as creators, especially people our age, is we have that constant problem of comparing ourselves to other creators who have more success and recognition than us, even if they're our same age or a lot younger than us. It gets frustrating. That's one of the discouraging things about this industry. It's not just, all encouraging friends and family and stuff. There's a lot of great stuff from that, but I don't know, there's a lot of ways that we can fall into a slump, and that obviously affects our work greatly. And it's not all, happy and fun and creativity. A lot of it can get really hard and stressful and yeah, discouraging from comparing yourself. And it's really hard to not do that, because it's a really competitive field. Even if you like what you do and you think you're talented, there's always going to be something that you can't help envying, that kind of, I don't know, sometimes I'll listen to a soundtrack and I'm like, I'm never gonna be able to do anything like that. But then the next day I'll be working on something and I was like, this is the most brilliant thing I've ever come up with. And then the next day I'll be like, I'm never gonna make it. So it's so weird. I feel like all artists go through that kind of thing. Yeah. I don't know if you really.
Yeah, not many people know this, but I've actually been making music seriously since 2017 and 2016, but I had never felt confident in releasing any of it other than maybe a beat on SoundCloud here and there.
Mm-hmm.
So then at some point I was like, no, you just kind of have to. And I was like, you know what, I'm turning 21, that'll be it, that'll be the start. And
mm-hmm. Yeah, it's always, yeah, and even though it seems like a small thing, okay, I just put this out on that platform, but when it's your first time actually doing that, and you reach a whole different kind of vulnerability as an artist, your stuff is out there and people can listen and people can judge and people can feel a different way about it than you want people to feel, and you can't help it. You can't help that. That's not something you can control. All you can hope is that what you put out there will help people feel something, sincere, and actually get something out of it or resonate with it and just appreciate it. But and some people suck and they also critics and everything, which is another thing that's not good about, or that's not all sunshine and rainbows about the industry. Is besides comparing yourself to other people, it's you're gonna have to deal with critics and people who aren't gonna like your work, because that's obviously going to happen to everyone. Even, you know, even like the best artists, they're going to go through so much criticism and disrespect. And I don't like saying that because it's, you know, it's sad, and I feel like that's scary to, I don't know, bring up and talk about to other artists, because I don't want them to, like, I don't want you to start thinking about that and getting psyched out, because but you obviously know what I'm talking about already. But I also just feel like it's something you should still address so that you're being more realistic about it, because you're going to have to learn to deal with critics and people who aren't going to like your stuff, or they're going to, you know, put it down publicly. And so, yeah, it is a really big step whenever you put your stuff out there for a first time, even if it's just on SoundCloud.
Yeah.
Like, it's still a big step. It like boosts your confidence. In that, you know, you wouldn't put it out there if you didn't think that it was good enough. So that's another reason why it's a big step, is because I don't know, it shows that kind of growth and trust you have in your work and your process, and the confidence you have in your own stuff, and you're comfortable enough to share it with other people no matter what they say about it. I don't know. So it's kind of it's bittersweet. Like, it feels good, and then you're likely to get some bad feedback on it. Again, even if it's the best, like, your stuff's great. I think my stuff isn't terrible, but every artist is going to experience that kind of stuff. And so I don't know.
Like,
I don't know.
even like looking at that one project, even like looking at that first project from October, it's like, I don't think it's perfect in any way. I don't. But at the same time, it's like, well, whatever audience I build can grow with me. And I'm okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
Even like the stuff I'm working on now, it's not the same. It's completely different. It's a different sound, a different vibe. And that's okay, because that project, it was what I was feeling at the time. Like, it was very soft and heartfelt, and that's where I was at.
Just because your stuff now is different does not mean in any way that it's different bad or different better than the other thing, even if you think it's, you know, better developed or produced or stuff like that. Because obviously that is, you do grow as a producer, and in different areas that just you develop new skills. But even if it's just like a crappy voice memo or something from that time and uploading it to a small platform, and it's like, that's still good because I was expressing something, even if the quality was terrible, even if, you know, the structure wasn't what I wanted. It's, I don't know. It's nice to edit that kind of stuff now that you have a lot more knowledge of other areas and making it sound better. But at the same time, it's like that takes away the like authenticity of it. And it's like, I want to show growth by keeping that way. And then when I go back and I listen to it, it's not sad like, oh, I used to be so bad, but like, oh my gosh, I've come so far. And that's another thing I like. Because when I go back and listen to some of my stuff that I created before college, like in high school, I'm like, I would not compose that kind of thing now. But I also think about, like, back then, I think about the moment after I finished it, and I was like, I'm so talented. Now I look back at it and I'm like, that is awful. But, you know, it's okay because I can recognize that, and I recognize that my stuff now is so much better. So I don't know. I think that's a really good thing that every artist should acknowledge when it comes to, if they need just a boost of confidence so they can see how far they've come from, how far they've come from that one point in their life where they were first starting out. And again, I'm talking a lot. I'm sorry. But yeah.
No, like, you're absolutely right though, because it's like, even with some of the newer stuff I'm working on, I hear a lot of growth lyrically more than anything else, and I'm just like, that's that's great. Like I like to know that I can see myself growing as a person and it's reflecting. And then
Mhm.
because for once I'm not the one doing all the production on all the new stuff. Like I'm working with other producers, which is something I hadn't done before. Which is
And
kind
that's exciting, building connections and getting people who are confident enough in you to work on it with you. That's something I also love about getting to work with different people in the sound design department here, because I'm not good at mixing or mastering my stuff, just the composition and notation aspects or creating sheet music for it or orchestrating. And and so when it comes to mixing, I'm like, I have no idea what any of this means. I'm a sophomore. I feel like I should. Um, it's not that I'm like a bad student in those classes. It's like I make A's, but I'm obviously not as good as I want to be. That's another reason I'm taking music production this quarter, so that I can actually get better at mixing my own stuff. I don't have to keep asking other people to do it. Um, but yeah, it's nice that even if you do need someone else to do it, you find someone that's confident enough that they can put their name on your work too. They can say, hey, I'm proud that I got to work on this. I think it's great. It was a nice thing to be a part of. And yeah, that's really comforting, especially if you're becoming a little insecure about your work. But then someone who supports you, like within the work, not just an outside supporter like family or friends, just someone from the same industry, that's especially a confidence boost, because you're like, okay, they know a lot. So if they think that my stuff is good, then that must mean that my stuff is pretty good. Because I don't know, that's a big confidence boost for me, especially from professors who have worked in this industry for years in the real world. And like, if they say my stuff is really good, I'm like, you don't know how much that means to me. Like, it's just a compliment from you, but with your credibility, that's like, it's huge to me, and they don't even realize it. Yeah, I'm just thankful for my professors and that I don't have any really discouraging ones.
of
Um, yeah.
So this is really random, but I was thinking about this earlier and then I forgot. But it's kind of crazy when I think about the fact that we both have the same primary instrument, and it took me a while to like for it to click in my head. And I was like, that
Oh, yeah.
yeah, like I was like, that's cool. I haven't like obviously I've had conversations with like the pianists here at school, but it's also like very different because
Mhm.
they are very much so focused on like classical music. And that's okay. I like playing like well, I prefer romantic to classical, but I like playing it. And it's just like I don't know, it's different because of like your field. Like that's different than what they're doing here. And just knowing like I don't know, piano is just such a nice thing to just
Yeah, it's everything I start out with. I always go to the piano for it, because that's, even if it's something that's going to be, if I'm going to turn it into, okay, this melody is going to be played on a guitar, or this one's going to be played on a bassoon or something like that, it's the piano is still what I always go to, because it has everything. Like this one's 88 keys, which is a step up, because I had a terrible compared to this, it was terrible keyboard last year, and this is also like a MIDI hybrid that I've been really excited about since then. Um, and it has like different settings for different instruments and different like mastering knobs and stuff like that. It's more complicated than I still don't know everything about it, but no one has to know that. But yeah, it has everything. It has all the notes. It has, you know, different options for instruments, and it has, you can do chords on it. That's stuff that you can't necessarily like. I mean, I can write melodies and chords on my guitar, but it's not, I don't know, it's just different using the piano for some reason. It's just, maybe it's because I'm more used to piano because I play the guitar, but it's definitely not my primary instrument. I played piano when I was young, And then I don't know, life got in the way, so I didn't for a few years. And then I picked it up in high school again. So I'm not nearly as good as I would have been if I continued, like, since I was 5'4". I feel like I would be really good. Like, and I consider myself pretty good now.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm just upset that I wasn't consistent with it. But yeah, so I started playing saxophone in 5th grade or 4th grade. Because piano wasn't even an option for our band at my middle school, in elementary school. So I played that for like 5 or 6 years, and then I lost it when I got to high school, and then I got one for Christmas this year. So I'm starting to pick that up again. So that and guitar are the other couple, and I play ukulele too, but not right now because my peg is broken on there. For my, yeah, there's only one peg broken, so I can't really play that well. And I have some world instruments. Like, I went to music camp for 1 week and I came back and I was like, you know what I'm missing in my life? A didgeridoo. I was like, I've always needed this for some reason. It doesn't sound good. It takes a lot of hard work and skill and specific knowledge to learn how to play the didgeridoo, and I'm not gonna play it now, but in a right way. I learned how to circular breathe though at the camp. You know, breathing in and out at the same time so you can hold notes for a long time, like Kenny G and you know, tribes that play didgeridoo. And I was like, now that I have figured out how to circular breathe, I'm going to order a didgeridoo. So I ordered this, came straight from Australia, beeswax, reed and everything. And I tried it and I was like, was this a good idea? But it's just cool to think, okay, well, I have a few world instruments that I can play. It doesn't mean I'm good at them, but I can play. Like, I have a Tibetan singing bowl and a kalimba. So those are, I need to get better at world instruments because obviously, like, I only mainly practice piano and saxophone and guitar, but I need to become well versed on a lot of different ones because I don't want them to just take up space in my room and not be played. And my friend lent me her trumpet. And my doctor told me, because my doctor is like a professional trumpet player too, or he was at one point. He said he switched to medical school because it was easier than music school. So I thought that was funny. And I was like, actually, that's kind of true. Or I guess for him, I don't think I would do that well in medical school. But because I don't really like biology. But anyway, yeah, he was like, you know, they say it takes 10 years for someone to actually play the trumpet to where someone will want to listen to them play the trumpet. And I was like, sadly, that's definitely true, especially with me. I know how to play a C chromatic scale, not to brag, but so that's it right now. Probably gonna give it back to her because, well, she doesn't even play it anymore. Her mom was like, do you want it? And I was like, you're just gonna give me a trumpet? Like, you know, you could sell this to me, but she's like my best friend. So yeah, so I'm just borrowing it and I'm doing terribly at it, which is okay. I'm learning the notations and stuff and the embouchure techniques, which is so much different than saxophone. So that's also another reason I'm not that good at it. One of the many reasons I'm not that good at it. But yeah, I still like having it here because I like, but especially as a composer, like composing for film, you use so many different types of instruments. And I like to at least understand the theory behind some of them, even if I'm not good at them. Like, I have a violin book, but I don't even play violin. I don't even have a real violin, but I read the book and I learn more about it so that I can approach it in a more knowledgeable way than if I were to just press a button and be like, that sounds like a violin. Like I want to actually know what I'm playing, which again, like you don't even have to do that for composing. That's just what I like to do because I don't know, I just feel more comfortable knowing things about the instruments I use. So I like research them. The other day, because I'm composing for another one that I'm really excited about is called Left Behind. It's like an animated fairy movie fantasy, but like the theme is global warming and they haven't gotten that far in it yet. So I can't really explain the whole thing. I'm not sure yet. But yeah, so they want kind of a wispy, ethereal sound for it. And I was like, all right, let's get started because I was looking at some ideas and I was like, moon guitar. I was like, that word alone, moon guitar, like that sounds perfect for it. And I was like, where can I buy one? Because the first thing, every time I look at a new instrument, I'm just like, okay, I need to get one, even though they're like taking up space in my room. And like, I can't learn like 6 instruments at once. It's like, well, I have a harmonica too, forgot to say that one. I can play that one pretty okay. But the other ones, like I said, trumpet, I'm terrible at. So I'm like, I need to buy a moon guitar. And there's a real name for it. It's just nicknamed the moon guitar. I can't remember the name of it. I only looked at it yesterday. Like $400. So not gonna invest in that right now. Probably not going to in general, but I just really like researching and learning about it before I use it because I don't want to treat it just as, a sound on the keyboard that, it's just noise. It's just a certain key, like on the keyboard on Logic. That's the platform I use. Like I want to actually know what I'm using. Yeah. Sorry, I talked a lot again.
No, I liked learning like how you look at things. Like it's cool, it's different. But something that's crazy to me that you said was about piano because for a minute I was like, oh, is she like living my life too? Because I was the same way. Like I played for a few years and then I stopped and then I started to get back into it. And the fact that like you had like that same story was just like, okay.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, like I don't know. I don't think I started getting as into it as I have in college though. Like I feel like I've really been playing more, and I think it's because we have like the nice pianos in the practice room.
Exactly. Yeah. You're more motivated when you're working with something that's actually higher quality. You just want to keep playing since it sounds better.
Yeah, because I've always just had like, yeah, I've always just had like my keyboard since 5th grade, like that. But we recently just got like an actual piano back home because someone I went to high school with gave it to us for free.
What kind of piano is it?
It's just like an upright. It's nice. It needs to be.
I have an upright one. I was thinking when you said that, I was just picturing a baby grand in your living room. I was thinking Steinway and Sons, and I was like, I swear, if they just gave her a Steinway, I don't know. Like I thought my friend's mom offering me the trumpet was, far-fetched, but like to give someone that kind of I mean, I'd be happy for you, but I would be in shock. Like I'd be so jealous. Because that's another thing I want to get whenever I'm older and in the real world and have my own apartment and so much money. I want to get an actual Steinway baby grand, and then I'll probably never leave the piano bench because I don't know. It just has such a rich sound. Like, have you seen the process of making those specific pianos? They leave their wood out to dry for years and years before they use it for a specific, like, I'm like, the patience that goes into that process, like, I couldn't do that. I mean, I'm a patient person, but when it comes to work and stuff, I don't know, I'm always wanting to, and feel like you're the same way. It's a lot of artists, they're not patient enough to wait until morning to work on something. If it's 3 a.m., you're like, okay, I have to work on this now. I can't wait for it. Yeah, that's the kind of impatience I have. So, but that's good for every artist because that shows that they're motivated and they're actually excited about their work. And that's another reason why I'm excited about, going into this field is because I know what is that saying? It's like, if you enjoy your job, you'll never work a day in your life or something like that.
Yeah,
Um,
I know what you're talking
and
about.
yeah. And I was like, I know of people who like dread going into their jobs and it's like what they wanted to do for a career. And I'm like, I'm glad that you achieved what you wanted to do and that you're getting what you wanted out of it. But I couldn't imagine like actually hating going to work in the morning, be like, oh, I have to get up for work or being excited for it to be over. Like, no, I'm excited for it to start and I am done with it whenever I get tired. Like, I don't know. I feel like that it's like that with all artists. I'm assuming.
I mean, yeah, I think so. If I'm like that.
I don't know why you would stay in the arts if you didn't. I don't know, because I feel like it's such an easy like switch to a normal job. If you ditch the arts and you become an optometrist or something like that. That was just the first job that came to mind because they make good money. I'm like, I don't know. You can stay in the arts if you're passionate about it. Um, but or if you're just looking for money. And because people have different passions in life, like it's not everybody has to be, you know, like elated about going to work every day. Like their passions might lie in, their husband or wife or their kids or travel or hobbies, whatever. It doesn't always have to be your career because I get that careers are just a way of, having income for some people. But I don't know. For me, I like can't imagine doing a job that I would dread going to. So that's another reason why I'm really happy to be in this industry because I know I'm never gonna find it boring.
Yeah.
And yeah, so whenever I find when I think of artists who do find it boring and then switch to a real job, I'm like I can't imagine like going into that industry because you're so passionate about it and then what has to happen for you to get bored with it,
Yeah.
and switch to a job that is still boring, but you would rather do it because you make more money. Which, okay, I guess that's why, because that makes sense. But I don't know, everyone, to each their own. I'm just speaking from someone who really likes what they do. So that's why I don't understand it. But again, like everyone has their own opinions and attitudes towards what they want to do. And so I'm not judging them for that. I'm just saying, like, I could never do that. But
Honestly, I can't see myself doing anything but music. I'm okay
mm-hmm.
with
Yeah, I was thinking like if I am not able to make it like in film music industry, I'm still going to want to do something with music, even if I don't earn as much money. Like I'm really hoping that I do make it. Like I'm working this hard because, I want to make it. I don't want it to just be a casual thing because then it might as well just be a hobby. But I don't know. Yeah, I've always been passionate about even when I wasn't like diligent in piano or other instruments for that period of my life, I still loved music. I'm sorry, my phone is vibrating. I still loved music, even when I wanted to be a tap teacher, an astronaut. I would still always be passionate about music. And I was like, if I'm really this passionate about it, I might as well make some money off of it. So, what I'm trying to do.
No, there was something you said, and it reminded me of like how I see like my future, I guess. And it was the thing about the grand piano. Like I always imagine myself like when I'm, you know, not financially struggling, have a nice little apartment. Like, I imagine myself getting up on a Saturday morning and fixing a pot of coffee and then just playing, just going to a piano and playing.
Oh, that's what I think about too. We keep having so much in common. Like you were discussing like women in the industry in your class the other day, and then I brought it up, and then the whole thing with the piano and me piano, and you hadn't played it, and then I hadn't played it, and now like we have the same dream of having that piano in our apartments, making coffee, having some brunch.
Like, honestly, I feel like brunch is like the best because it's not too early, you know. You can kind of.
Exactly. I'm not an early bird. I wake up around 10. 10 is early for me. Again, not because I'm lazy, but because I work at night.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I never really, unless there's a real reason why I need to wake up super early, I always, even if it's breakfast food, like it's just considered brunch because of the time I'm eating it. But yes, I love it also. I could eat breakfast all day. Like the past few days, I've had crepes and French toast from IHOP until I was like, okay, it's too expensive to order both of those for like a whole week, so I can't do that. But I could eat crepes and French toast all day, like for the rest of my life. That's probably my favorite breakfast food.
What would you say is your favorite like crepes from IHOP? Because I
I
definitely.
don't like cream. I don't like cream anything. Just the texture makes, you know. um, so I get their strawberry cream crepes. Hold the cream. So it's just strawberry crepes. Um, don't they have? Is it like Swedish crepes or something? They have some different type of crepe. I don't know what's in it that makes it different. I went to French camp once in middle school, and I learned how to make crepes there. And then I forgot immediately once I got back. And I hadn't had any crepes since then. So like maybe a month ago, I went to IHOP and I said, you know what, I'm just gonna try a crepe since I hadn't had it in years. And I was like, this is amazing. Because French toast is like all I would eat for breakfast, and I still would be fine only eating that for breakfast. But now I'm like, I'm indecisive and I love breakfast so much. I'm just gonna get 2 meals, and that's not good for me financially. Like
Yeah.
that's not good. I need to, but I can't help it. It's like so hard to decide. Like, or if you're at a really good pub and you're like, do I want the pizza or the burger? Okay, I'll just get both. Like I don't know. I've eaten so much more than I used to at restaurants, and I need to just pick one, and then then I also get really hungry at nighttime, and that's another reason why I don't go to sleep early.
Yeah.
But I can't help it. Like I'll be going to sleep, and I'll be like, you know what sounds really good right now? Those Pillsbury sugar cookies. So it'll be like 3 a.m, and I'll go to the kitchen and I'll bake them. And then I'll be like, that's great. And I'll eat one and then fall asleep immediately. It's just, I feel like I can't sleep unless I have at least one taste of what I'm in the mood for. And it also sucks when you're watching a movie late or a TV show and they mention one food and you're like, I need that food right now because it makes you hungry.
Yeah.
And then yeah, so I need to stop doing that. I need to eat earlier and get full earlier, and then it'll be easier for me to fall asleep earlier.
I mean, if it makes you feel better, there have been some nights where I just go downstairs and make a bowl of oatmeal at like 2 or 3 in the morning, just because.
Yeah, I wish I was better at baking so I could bake myself French toast at 3 in the morning. Because if I could do that, I would do that every night. That I would be up at 3. I my mom knows how to make French toast, and she was gonna show me, but I never learned how to do it. So when I go over there, I'm gonna make sure that I learn how to do it so I can make it any time of day. So apparently it's not hard, but I'm like, what makes it so much better than regular toast? Like I can't remember what it is, but like I don't know. I've always loved French toast. That's always what I get whenever whenever I'm at a breakfast place, if they have it.
Honestly, you made me think of like the first time I ever had like crepes. And I remember because it was summer 2017 and it was at Chelsea Market in New York City. And it was the best thing ever.
I love that it was summer 2017. Like it was that good that you remember the season and the year.
It was the first time I'd ever been to New York City too. And it was for like this summer program for music at NYU. So like the whole experience is like one of the best experiences ever. But like I very specifically remember getting crepes at Chelsea Market. Like that that memory.
Well, then I need to go there. I bet I would like them too. If you think they're that good, then they must be good. I've gotten French toast at a couple different places in New York just because, like, anytime I'm able to get French toast, I'm gonna get French toast. So, and both of them were so good. And I can't remember the names of the places, but I feel like all breakfast places, like a lot of the, local breakfast places in New York, they're always, they're so much better than IHOP. And I like IHOP breakfast now. So just going to a local place, I don't know. Also, like local businesses, it's even better that you get to, contribute to that. But then the bacon is like $15 because it's New York. I'm like, that's a little much. But again, I still go there and I hate that I like criticize prices, but then I go and I get them anyway. I'm like, that's just way too expensive. I'll have two. Like if I'm rich, then I can do that. But I'm absolutely not. And I feel like I have no boundaries. But yeah, so that's one thing I definitely need to practice before I go into the real world is saving up, especially if I'm going to be living on my own in Atlanta and then New York. Because I'm only getting paid for a couple of the projects I'm doing, because the majority of the ones I've done are all student films that I don't know. The ones I did last year, I didn't get paid for them because it was like a part of my entertainment arts class where we got to pick like different projects that we wanted to work on, because we went to this animation pitch presentation where we got to choose like, oh hey, that one seems interesting, I want to work on it. And then you would like have an interview with people and they would say like whether or not they want you on their team. And luckily people said that to me, which I did not expect because it was my freshman year. But trying to remember what I was talking about again. Oh yeah, prices. So I'm excited that I'm actually going to get paid for a couple of them, because that is a big step. I don't know how much I'm going to get paid for one that I'm doing that's a photography project, like a slideshow film, but with music in the background. I don't know how much I'm going to get paid for that, but this other one that's like a minute and a half, I'm getting paid $30. And like in the real world, it's like $30, but me, I'm like, $30. I'm like, oh my gosh. And it's just for a minute and a half. And my roommate was like, okay, so now you need to tell people that you charge $30 per minute and a half. And I was like, no one's gonna want to hire me with that kind of, like, I do not think that highly of my work. But so yeah, I'm definitely excited about that part. And that's another thing that boosts your confidence, actually getting paid even just a little bit. Yeah, I couldn't imagine this happening as early as my sophomore year. Like in high school, I didn't think I would even get to do the music for anything until maybe like junior or senior year. I was like, maybe junior year, like the earliest I would ever be able to work on anything. But now I'm gonna have like 12 projects total, and that's overwhelming me. That's another reason I'm like, okay, these all need to be good because they're my first 12, and I feel like, you know, if they're not good by the 12th one, then what's the point? Because like I said, I feel like I'm getting a lot better as I go along, and I hope that it stays that way. I mean, it should as you get older, but I don't know. So it's not that I feel a lot of pressure. It's just, well, I do, but in the good way, not in the, this makes me want to quit every project kind of way, which I'm proud of myself for that because I tend to get in way over my head. And I've had friends and family member who I was telling them about, because I got like 7 people contact me. Like I didn't even have to reach out to them. I was like, how do they even know me? And this one person who it was a director, and we met for the first time like via Zoom, and she was like, I was so nervous. I wanted to make a good impression. And I was like, you're a senior. I was like, a senior was nervous to meet me? I was like, oh my gosh. That's another thing that boosted my self-confidence. But I'm like, you cannot get a big head because these are students and their opinions definitely matter to me. But like I said, there are always going to be critics and other people that do not like your stuff. So, but I like having that support and that confidence. And I don't know, that was just a really good feeling. I didn't want to make her nervous, but the fact that she wanted to impress me, I'm like, no, I'm always wanting to impress the directors because it's their project, it's their vision. I need to go off of what they want. I don't know. But yeah, that made me feel pretty good about myself.
Yeah. That, I don't know. That's just like amazing. I don't know as much about it just because, you know, I'm not like a composer like you are. But like just
So, yeah, different stuff.
Yeah. But like hearing you talk about it is just like I can tell like you love it, and that's like so cool to just like see.
Thank you. Yeah, a lot of my friends, like I'll talk to them about it and stuff, but we're not in a space where it's like, okay, for like an hour, Mary Catherine will get to spew about her just what I like to work on. It's like, no, it would be in a casual fashion, like, hey, I'm working on this. They're like, oh, this is gonna be so cool. Where do you want to eat? Just like you move on so quickly, but I'm like really enjoying this. That's another reason why I'm talking so much. Because sometimes I'll talk a lot when I'm nervous, like I'll get chatty, but it's not even me being nervous on here. Because like I said, this is great because it's very casual and we're being very candid with each other. It's just, you're asking good questions and it's like you were talking about it being more casual and just having a normal conversation after the interview questions. And when you said that, I was like, oh my gosh, what if I can't come up with anything? But again, I feel like I haven't shut up and I feel bad because I keep wanting you to, like, I need to let you respond to something I'm saying, but I'm like, I am not wasting a breath. Like, I need to give her a chance to talk. And I'm even doing that right now when I'm talking about it. But I don't know. So thank you so much for asking me to be on here because that was another confidence boost. Even if it's like, because this is the second platform I've gone on where I can actually talk about what I do. But the other podcast, where I know this isn't a podcast, but the other interview I did with the women in audio, it was mainly talking about, you know, women in that industry. But this is like, I don't know, kind of, I get to talk about my stuff specifically and how much I like it. And I don't know, I'm just like being able to go on and on about it because I never get to do this. So I feel like, because my friends like what I do and they're proud of me and stuff, but I would not be able to keep going and going and going. Not because they're rude, but it's just, they wouldn't want to listen to that all day.
Yeah,
you especially get it because you're doing a talk show artists on artists, like even in the name, it's like you're definitely interested in other people's interests. And it's, I don't know, it's just very nice to have that kind of audience, even if it just is one person. Like yeah, you're very easy to talk to. I didn't even know you that well. I just knew you from the songwriting club, and I didn't work with you on anything. I worked with people on a couple of different like collaborations, but I only knew you from like, you know, keeping in touch after the club ended.
Yeah.
And then you asked me to be on here, and I was like, oh, this is gonna be great. And yeah, I'm having a good time.
It's so funny that like you say that, because I did another one of these yesterday. Yeah, I've been doing a lot of them.
And it's good that you have a lot of people interested in doing it. I mean, I don't know why someone wouldn't be interested in doing it, but again, like it's a lot of the times it's kind of difficult to get your ideas out there. So I'm glad that it's been working out for you, because I know this was kind of a recent idea. What was it, like this past month?
Yeah, like I started thinking of it towards the end of December, because it was like I was planning out the things I wanted to do this year in terms of music and like career wise. And I was like, I want to do this. And yeah, it's going pretty well. I'm proud of it.
Also, yeah. I bet everyone else who's been on it, they feel the same way I do. They feel comfortable in the space talking about whatever they want to talk about and just being candid with you, and it's very casual and it's not nerve-wracking or anything. Just yeah.
Like yesterday, the person I was talking to, he's like an audio engineer. Like that's what he's going to school for. And he was like, it's nice because like I don't get to have these conversations that often. Like there's not people I can just sit here and talk about, oh, like sound and audio. And I was like, yeah, like that's kind of what I wanted this to be, is that space. And it's just nice.
I think it's a really good idea. Yeah. Because I don't know that many talk show. I don't know what to call it, because I guess would you call it a talk show?
Maybe I haven't really
Talking to people and you're showing it online. But yeah, because I told someone I have like an interview thing, and they're like, oh, what job? And I was like, oh, it's not a job. And they're like, what is it? And I explained to them, and they were like, whoa, that's so cool. And I was like, you don't even get how excited I am. But it's literally like, it's just this like this casual thing. It's not even a big deal, but like I said, just being able to talk about it, like going on and on and on, when I wouldn't be able to in any other context. Like, I just think it's really good to have a platform like that, and I think it's a really good idea that you've started this, and I feel like it's definitely going to go somewhere. And I don't know, I'm excited to see other ideas and platforms like this, because again, I haven't been like, it's only been a couple years that I've actually been able to do this stuff. And so I'm just excited to see other options, and because now I'm more comfortable about talking about it with people with interview questions. Like, because before I would always think like, what if I zone out, or what if I go on a rabbit trail, or what if I have no idea what to say to one of the questions? And I don't know, that hasn't happened. I mean, I have gone on rabbit trails, but I've I've felt pretty good the past, I don't know how long we've been doing this, hour maybe.
I have no idea. Honestly, a lot of these I tend to lose track of the time, just because like it is just like this conversation. And I don't know, I feel like some of the conversations I've had on here, they're not conversations that I have often or at all. And I think that's just nice to have that space to have those. Because like the other day, one of the people I was talking to, we ended up talking about white rappers and how they can be sure to appreciate and respect the culture instead of appropriating it. And
that's a good.
Yeah, like I had never had that conversation before.
See, yeah, this is great. You get to have conversations about really specific stuff, and
Yeah,
you don't even mean to at first, but it just comes out naturally.
yeah. Like, even with yours, like right now, like I've never had a conversation about what goes into film composing. Like that's never been something
Yeah,
that.
I'm glad I get to be like one of the first who you get to, learn from about it.
Because it's just it's nice. Like these are very different conversations, and
Mhm.
I feel like we don't get to have them enough, and that's why I wanted to do it, just to be like, well, there's space to have that.
Mhm. Yeah, I think this is really gonna take off.
Like I've never given someone an interview before this, so
Well, you seem like you're experienced, even if you aren't. I mean, you're a communications major.
yeah,
Communicate well.
maybe like I'm actually learning in classes. Maybe I am paying attention without knowing.
But you don't realize that. Yeah, it's just your subconscious. It's like, come on, you know how to do this. And then it just comes out sounding really, you know, professional. And even if you don't think you've had any real experience, like I mean, I know it because you just said, but not everyone that you're going to interview will know that. They're just going to think, like, she knows what she's doing. She's experienced. She's, in charge of this whole thing. She does a great job. So that's what I was thinking. But then you told me you have, like, I don't know. It's just hard to tell. So that's good. Like, even if you consider yourself like an amateur at something, like that doesn't mean that you have to present yourself that way. Like, I've never done anything like this before on like an interview or something. I was like, I have no idea how this is gonna work. I'm gonna put on a blazer so I look like I know how it works. I was like, I'm just gonna dress like I know about everything that I'm going to talk about. And I do know about it, but I'm like, maybe this will make me seem smart. But it's such a comfortable space. I feel like I could have just worn like pajamas. I'm like, that's how casual I feel.
Um, don't tell anyone that I am still in my sweatpants right now.
That is okay. I was very close. I was like, I was thinking about what if my friends are like, somebody sees this and they're like, Mary Catherine, why are you dressed like a homeless person? Because a lot of the times I do dress like a homeless person. Sometimes I'll just like, I'll dress very, very poorly and casual. And then other times I'm like, okay, I'm gonna put on a swing dance dress because I feel like it, Like, those are two different moods, depends on the day.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for doing this. Like, it really does mean the world to me. And yeah.
Definitely. I really enjoyed it. Thank you for asking me to be on. This was a great experience. And yeah, you were very nice to talk to about this kind of stuff. And I'm glad I have, a platform where I can tell other people about it without it, sounding like braggy. It's like I just want to talk about, what I'm passionate about. And I'm glad that I was able to on here.
Yeah, of course.